Hi folks. Okay, so I'm going to do a full playthrough of Solacia, the Wizard of Doom. That's all 5 quests if I get that far. So without further ado, let's get on. I'm not going to explain the rules much because I've already done an instructional playthrough, so you can have a look at that if you want to know how to play. So the first thing then, just see what quests we're doing first. We get a 4 there. So that's going to take us to quest 1B. There we go, you can see I'm playing this straight from the book. It's not stuck down, it's not under plexiglass, it's simply just had its spine pushed flat like that, and it lays perfectly flat on the table for me to put the tokens on. No need to worry about anything else. So for this one, I'm just gathering my heroes. You can see it's a dungeon-based quest. I've got a couple of starting points here, and let's first of all just put in there the chests. So they're going on 4. So there, and there. That's the setup done for that quest. And I just need to find my elf who is there. Right, so I'm going to go, I think probably just focus going down this left-hand side. It's a bit narrower. I don't really like the narrow corridors of some of these dungeons. I prefer to be a bit more open this side, but because there are 2 chests down that way, that's attracting me down there. So I'm going to put all my 4 people in the east side of the village. And we're going to start. So we get a 4. So right in front of us on this chest hex here appears a wizard. All right, could be worse. So first of all, then my warrior is probably going to have a go at the wizard. So 8, basic 8+ for him, that's a miss, and that's a hit. Wizard has a 5+ defense, misses that, so he's dead. The warrior though has been sidetracked, used both his actions there. So then we're going to move the elf up, we're going to move in fact we're going to open the chest, I think, with the elf. Yeah, let's do that. So she opens the chest with a 2. That gives her the tooth arrows. So let me just grab those. They're there. I'm going to just place those off screen up there, but the tooth arrows give her a -1 to her attack. There they are, look. -1 to her attack. Right. Which is good. The thief then is going to move up into that hex as well, as is the mage, who is then going to roll her cast. She gets 6, which is good, so she can do more or less anything she wants there. And what are we going to do? Are we going to teleport someone forward, or do we don't really need a bubble? The traps, there is a trap. It's a fairly gentle one. Let's push someone forward. Let's push the thief right up to there. So she's going to teleport him. So that chest has been opened, it disappears. That's me done. There are no enemies on the board, so we move to turn 2. This time we get a 5. So that is 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Where's the other one, Mike? It's up there. It's here. So in these trees here in the dungeon, these old dead trees, appears a 9. It's an event. And that is indeed the flinging rock trap, but it only flings rocks to hexes around it with a line of sight, so it would be these 5, so we can ignore that, so nothing appears there. So nice gentle start to this one. So we can move again. I think we'll shift the thief up onto this chest. He's going to open that, he gets a 3, and that gives him the bone dagger. Perfect. And that's -1 to his attacks. So a couple of good finds. Elf, I think, just moves up. I think I'll move the warrior up and then roll the mage. She gets a 4, so she can teleport the warrior forward. She's going to do that, and then she's going to move into there as well. So we're making good progress here, and there's not much on the board to challenges at the moment. We're on to turn 3. This time it's a 4, so we've got this one that's right next to them. It's not going to come there because there's someone on it. That's too far away. So behind them, from the dark shadows, comes a giant spider. Now we can probably afford just to get away from that, but the elf might as well have a shot at it with her standard 8+ attack. Her tooth arrows bring that to 7+. She gets a 7. The spider only has a 6 defense. Of course, it works. So her arrow wedges in its thick skin, does no damage. I think for her second move, her second action, she's going to move away. There's no real need to kill this spider. I don't think it's going to chase us too badly. The warrior will move onto this hex, I think. The thief probably go up into the trees here, and the mage comes up here where the elf is. She might as well cast, see what she gets. 3, there isn't much you can do with that. Oh, she can zap. Let's do a zap spell for 2 spell points. So range 2, she's got line of sight to the spider. It's a 9+, and she gets a 7, so that's missed. That's us done. The spider then will activate. It gets a 4, so actually moves down, straight down, according to this compass here. So it's actually moving away from the heroes, which is good stuff for us. So that's the end of that turn. We move to turn 4. Roll again, we get a 1. So that's going to be this hex, which is next to the thief. The other one's there, and we're on that one. So it's going to be here. That's a 6 again. So we've got another giant spider coming out of the shadows. And this one we're probably going to have to deal with. I think the thief's going to do sneak attack here. That's uses both actions. It's a 7+ basic attack, but he's got the bone dagger, which brings it down to 6+. He gets a 9. That's the spider killed unless it defends, which it doesn't. So he has killed that spider. That's good. That's used both his actions, so he can't move. I think we'll push the warrior onto there, just to stop enemies appearing there. The elf can go there as well. In fact, we'll push the mage there as well. She can cast, see what she gets. Oops, that one, she gets a 6. That's good. Don't need to worry about this spider, so I think she might as well... Ooh, she could actually teleport herself or somebody out the map. It seems a bit early for that, in case things appear here and we get cut off, so I think we'll not do that. But let's teleport the warrior to there. Let's do that. Stop any enemies appearing on that hex. Yeah, okay. Spider then down here gets a 5. It wants to move down there, but it can't, and it can't attack anyone, so that's okay for us. End of turn, we move to turn 5. We get a 4 this time. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 here. It's higher, furthest up the map, so over here appears a wizard. That's probably going to be a bit late to bother us. So we don't have to worry too much about him, I don't think. Yeah, okay, so now we can move on. The thief's going to move up there. I think the warrior might as well move up there as well. The elf and the mage are going to move into there. The mage then casts. She gets 2. Can't do much with that. End of my turn. The spider down here gets a 2. Wants to move over there, but can't because it's dungeon wall, so stays there, can't attack anyone. The wizard conjures a giant spider. If there are fewer than 2 on the map, there are fewer than 2, there's only 1, so he conjures a new giant spider there. But I'd say that's not really going to bother us at this point. And that's the end of that turn. Turn 6 then. It's 1, we're on hex 1 up there, so that's blocked that. Then it's going to be this one, that's a 6. Another giant spider, wow. Keep rolling 6s. All over the place. And that's that done, so we then get to move. I think we'll move the thief and the elf, the thief and the warrior off the board, and the elf and the mage can move up to there where it's safest, I think. Ready to move off next turn. Might as well roll for the mage. She gets a 4, so actually she can teleport off, so she might as well do that. That's us done. So down to these. This is the nearest spider, so it's going to go first. Gets a 2, moves up that way. Okay, can't attack though. We're going to attack adjacent. This spider gets a 1, so moves up there. This spider gets a 3 and moves down there. The wizard won't conjure because there's more than, well, there are 2, at least 2 spiders already on the map. So that's them done. Move to turn 7. Last roll probably for this. For the event is a 3 or an appearance. That's the nearest 3, I think, to the elf. 3 and 3, yeah. So on here we get a 6. Oh, would you believe it? It's a giant spider. Woohoo! And the elf then can move there, and she exits the map. So that's good. That's good. That's the first. Obviously, it might take you a little longer to play this because the rules are obviously welded into my head, but it is pretty fast playing. And so you do get bogged down. That was a remarkably easy quest, and we got out on turn 7. So did well there. So then we see where we're going next. So roll a d6, we get a 4, we're going to quest 2b. So again, no problem with these books. You just leaf over to 2b, give the spine a bit of a push, nice and flat. Let's check that's still on the camera, which it is. Turn counter on 1, roll the dice for chests. They're going on the 2 hexes, so 1 there, and 1 there. My 4 heroes start in the state they were in when they finished. Fortunately for me, they were all alive and healthy. So again, I think we'll stick to the left-hand side again here because the chests are generally that side. There's also a couple of shrines which can be useful. Oh, there's more defense over here perhaps, but you know, we'll go for it. Yeah, we'll do that. And for this one, we are placing an Orc Archer to start with, and he starts on this A hex here. That's another reason for me to start with that side, isn't it? Okay, so starting with turn 1, again, roll a d6, we get a 2. The nearest one is this hex here, which has a chest on it, but no hero, so that's the designated hex. We roll a 5, and that produces a skeleton. Okay. It's in the trees, so it's going to get an extra defense there. Has a range 3, so we do have to watch out for that. So what are we going to do? Are we going to go and face it? Move away from it? Moves randomly, so if we can get past it, it's probably not going to bother us too much. Just be better not to have it on here. I think what I'll do is first move my elf here, and she can have 1 shot at it. She's moved, so she's hitting on a 9 plus 10 because he's in the trees, but 9 because she's got the tooth arrows, remember. So 9 to hit the skeleton. Or do I, before I roll any dice? No, probably don't do that first. Hang on. Let's think about this carefully. Let's do it like this. Let's move the warrior there, and he attacks with an 8 plus 9 because of the trees. And he gets a 10, and the skeleton has a defense, but it's only a 6 and misses that, so that's good. So the warrior has got rid of that. The thief then can move up as well, as can the elf and the mage, who can then cast. She gets a 3. That doesn't really give us a lot of choice there. She can zap, move enemies around, but she can't reach anything or hit anything, so don't need to worry about that. That's us done. This Orc Archer then moves randomly. There's a 6, so it will go up that way. And then it shoots at range 2, but it can't hit anybody, so we move on to turn 2. We get a 4, which is going to be not there because there's heroes on it. Possibly there, yeah, that's further away. So over here, we get a 10. It's an event, which is a flinging rock trap, but fortunately, again, we are not adjacent to it, so it only hits adjacent hexes. It flings rocks out in all directions. So that has missed us, so that's good. So we are going to head on up this way, I think. So let's take the elf forward and the warrior. Question is, do we want to open that? Do we want to risk opening that chest? It's only an Orc Archer. There's a fence there, and there are trees there. It may well move away anyway. Yeah, let's risk it. Push my warrior into there, I think. He's going to open that chest. He gets a 5, and that gives him the rage ability. So if he kills somebody, he can go and attack again for free if there is another adjacent enemy. The thief's going to move up here. Trees. Hang on, did I already move the thief? Let's think about this, Mike. No, I didn't. Thief goes up to there, and the mage goes into there, and then she rolls the cast spell. That gives a 4. So she could teleport somebody again. She could put a bubble up if we think we need that, but the Orc Archer can't. Wherever it moves, it's not going to be able to attack them. It can't move here because of this fence. And that's the only way it's got line of sight to them. It won't have line of sight from there. So we don't really need that bubble. question is, do we push somebody forward or not? Let's teleport the thief over here just in case we need it. Okay, let's do that. That's me done. The Orc Archer then gets a 4, so does try to move down, but can't because of the gate. It will then shoot at the nearest hero in line of sight. That's the Warrior, being the only hero in line of sight. So would normally hit on an 8+, but he's going through these trees makes it 9+, and because I'm in trees makes it 10+. So unlikely, but you never know. Gets a 4, that's a miss. We move to turn 3. This time it's a 2. The nearest hex to a hero is this one here with the chest on it, right in the middle of them all. So that's often not as bad as it seems. It's an Orc Warrior. Okay, it can be pretty hardened. But it should be okay. So now we can try and deal with this guy. Let's have the thief attack from up there. So the thief's going to do his special attack, so use both his actions to do a sneak attack, which gives him a 7+ attack, I should say. Now he's on a hill, or on higher ground, so therefore it becomes 6+ to hit, but also he's got these two here distracting this orc, so 6 becomes 5 becomes 4+, so that's a pretty straightforward hit. He gets an 8, but the Orc Warrior does have armor, but that doesn't work. 5+ defense. Gets a 1, so that fails, so he's removed. So that's a thief done. Now what's the warrior want to do? I think he's going to move up here because he's in a defensive hex there. Might as well move and have a go at this. It's an 8+ on this Orc Archer, but it is 9 because he's going through the fence there. So he needs a 9+. He gets a 9. Light armor on there at 6+ only is a fail, so that is a dead orc. And then we've got the elf. And I'm going to move the mage up, and the mage is going to open the chest for her second action because she hasn't got any upgrades yet. She gets a 1, and that gives her the chain robe. And that gives her a defense of 5+, which is pretty good actually because she doesn't actually have any defense normally. So if she gets hit, at least she's got a 1 in 3 chance of surviving that. Without your mage, it's a very difficult game. So that's us done. There are no enemies on the board, so we go to turn 4. We get a 2. That is probably here, yeah. So in these trees then, right behind the warrior, appears an Orc Archer. So I think what the warrior is going to do then is have a no, in fact, the elf's going to have a shot at this Orc Archer. Sorry, that chest's gone, of course. The mage just opened that. The elf is going to have a shot at this Orc Archer. So basic 8+ when she's not moved. It drops to 7 because of the tooth arrows. Goes up to 8 because the archer is in trees. That's 8+. However, the warrior is distracting it, being adjacent in a different hex. So that becomes back to 7+ then. And that's a miss. And I think she's now just going to move because I don't really need to mess about with this Orc Archer. He's probably not going to bother us too much once we've passed him. The warrior will also have a go with a basic 8+. It's 9 because of the trees. And that's a miss as well. So then the warrior moves up there. The thief's going to move on past these lakes up to the top there. And the mage is going to... She's probably cast now, actually. She casts a 3 spell points, so she can't do much. She can zap at 9+. So she can zap this guy, but it's 10+ because he's in the trees. That's a miss as well. Then she's going to move up onto this shrine on the hill as well. So that's me done. The Orc Archer itself gets a 5, yeah, so he heads down there. In fact, he can actually shoot the warrior from there, so that's not the best move. And it's an Orc Archer is an 8+, and there's no modifiers there at all, so it's a basic 8+, and that's a 7, so fortunately we got away with that one a little bit. And we fall through to turn 5. It's hex number 3 is rolled, which is where are they? There, and there. So the warrior's on that one, so it's one of these two down here. So quite a way away actually. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So the one furthest up is this one. So on there appears a biting bush. Now that's not going to bother us because they don't move. And obviously it's miles back. So again, been a little fortunate there. Can I find one? There's one there. A little fortunate. Okay, so on we go. I think we'll move the warrior up there with a view to trying to get this final chest as well. Thief's going to move. Elf moves up there. Mage moves up there. She might as well cast, see what she gets. She gets a 5 actually, so she might as well push the elf on to there actually and we get out even quicker. So we'll do that. And that's us done. So this biting bush attacks everyone around it but doesn't move, so that's okay. The orc archer gets a 3, so moves down there. He can't hit this warrior because it's 3 away and his range is 2. So that's all right. End of turn 5 and move on to turn 6. The hex this time is 3 again. So it's going to be here now because the warrior's vacated it. So on here we get a 7, which is an orc warrior. So again, we just need to try and get rid of that. I think it will track, that does track us down, will chase us down. So got to be a little careful with that one. The elf is going to take the first shot again. She's not moved yet, so it'll be an 8+ on this. But 7 because she's got tooth arrows, and 6 because the warrior is here distracting. It's adjacent. So 6+ for the elf. That's a 9, and that misses the orc warrior's armor and kills it. And then the elf is going to move. Is she going to move off yet? I don't know if she is actually. No, let's not move her off yet. The thief's not going to move either. The mage is going to move to there and cast, and the cast fails. And the warrior is going to move here and then open the chest. Gets a 3. That's a shield. Okay, so that increases his armor, or his defense, I should say, from 5+ to 4+. So he now has a 50-50 chance of saving any hits against him. The bush can't do anything. The orc archer gets a 6, moves up there. He's out of range. Move to turn 7. We get a hex number 2. That is there. The nearest one, I think. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, they're both 3 actually, but that's higher up the map. So on there appears 10. That's an event. Flinging rock trap doesn't affect us. And so we can then have everybody moving off at the same time, which is always the best way if possible, I think. So we're through again, relatively unscathed. In fact, unscathed, and doing pretty well actually. So let's see where we're going next. We rolled a 3, so we're going to quest 3B. Here we go. And that's what that one looks like. Okay, so let's give it a bit of flatten. Let's put the turn counter on there. Let's see where the chests are going. They're going on hexes numbered 1. So we've got 1, 2, 3. Okay, right up there in the village at the top there. The exit hex is there. Okay, we're all starting down here. No choice. Not this one. But we still have choices of where we're actually going to go. We can't go down the middle because of this lake, but so we're going to go through this dungeon, or through this dungeon. Oops, through this dungeon. There's a side. There are other doors or exits or entrances into the dungeons as well here, so we can see what we want to do. It's kind of tempting to go up there, of course, but we don't get any chests that way. Maybe we want to come this way. Let's see what appears and where it appears. Oh, let's not forget as well, on this O here, the instructions say to put an ice ogre. And what's he going to do? He's going to move around randomly, but if he gets near us, he's going to freeze us, so that could be a bit of a problem. Let's see how we get on. Roll the dice, we get a 4. That is just inside this dungeon here. 4, 4, yeah. And that is a 7, which is an orc warrior. So there he is. He's going to come out and attack us. So we need to think about how we're going to deal with him. I think we'll put the warrior there. He's got such a good defense now. And he'll have a quick go at this orc warrior. So he's fighting on, remember, on a basic 8+. And he gets a 6, that's a miss. The elf is going to move into these trees, and then she's going to shoot this warrior. She's going to be a 9+ because she moved, but then her tooth arrows bring that down to 8+. And the adjacent warrior distracting her brings it down to 7+. So can she get a 7+ hit? No, she can't. Okay, that's not good. Now the thief could move here and attack, but his attack, yeah, okay, might as well try actually. So he moves here. His attack is 9+. Can't do a special attack because he's used an action to move there, obviously. So 9+. But he's got the bone dagger, so it's 8+. Okay, there's no one distracting. The warrior doesn't count because he's on the same hex as a thief, so that, you know, the orc warrior's attention is still this way. So it's 8+ for the thief, and he gets an 8, but the orc warrior's defense holds out this time, so there's no hit. So then the mage has got to think what she's going to do. Now the trouble is with the mage, I'd like to move her here and try and put up a sort of defensive bubble. But if that fails, then the orc warrior is going to target the mage with its attack. I don't really want my mage injured. So for now, I'm going to move the mage into these trees and hope that she rolls a decent attack spell. That's what she gets. She does get a 6, which is pretty good. She could do lightning, which would be an 8+ attack on this, on both of them, which is tempting. Obviously, 8+ on both. That's quite good. Or she could do a fireball just on the orc warrior at 6+. Because these two are distracting it, because they're adjacent and not on the same hex as the mage, that will come right down to 4+. I think I'm going to do that because it's too good to be true, really. So fireball, 4+ required. She gets a 7, and the armor holds out again. So these orc warriors, they can be tricky sometimes. Been a bit unlucky there, but if we've thrown everything we have at it, but it's surviving. It's, you know, in the edge of the dungeon now. I don't know. It's got a bit of extra cover or whatever. That's us. Okay, so we fall through then to the enemies. The ice ogre, it says move randomly, so let's see where that's going to go. It gets a 1, so it wants to move straight up, which it can, so it goes into the village. The orc warrior, on the other hand, wants to move towards heroes, but it's already adjacent, so it won't do that. And then it attacks one hero at range 1, and it prefers the mage, then the elf, then the thief. So it will attack this thief. So the warrior attacks on a 7+, and he gets a 7. So the thief is hit, and the thief has a defense of 6. He hasn't found his shield yet, so still on 6, and he gets a 2. So the thief is injured. So let's swap his token out for the injured token. That's the orc warrior. The ice ogre's already been. That's the end of the first turn, quite eventful. Turn 2, we roll a 6, and the minute we've got, you know, enemies on the board, they can mount up pretty fast. It can't appear here because we've got heroes on this 6. There's a 6 here, and the other 6 is here. Okay, 1, 2, 1, 2. They're both 2 away, so this is the furthest up. So in fact, here in these trees appears a giant spider. All right, well, that's probably okay in there. Just means we're almost certainly not going that way. We're going to go that way, which feels like quite a long journey, but let's see how we get on. Right, through to me then. Let's have the elf take a shot. So she's not moved, so it's a basic 8+. The 2 arrows bring it down to 7, and these 2 bring it down to 6, then to 5. So she should be all right to get a hit in. She does with a 7. And this time the armor doesn't hold out. So the warrior, the orc warrior is dead, and the elf can move off in that direction. I'm going to move the thief into the mage's hex, and then I'm going to roll the mage's cast action. So she's going to try and cast a spell. She could do with a 6 here to heal up the thief. Unfortunately, she gets 5, so she can't heal him. can't really do much else. She could teleport him to this. I suppose she could do, actually. It's a little bit of a risk because we're splitting him out from the rest of us. Let's do that. Let's teleport him into the shrine. 1, 2. We don't need line of sight or anything. You can go anywhere. So 2 hexes to there. And then she's going to move there for her second action. And the warrior is going to move there. Okay. So through to the bad guys again. The ice ogre is going to move randomly, gets a 3, so wants to move down in this direction. So he's now on the exit hex, which is a bit of a nuisance. And the spider moves randomly as well, gets a 1, so actually moves up that way. Okay. Yeah, we don't want him doing that. We don't want him to go out here, around here. It's unlikely, but you never know. Okay, so that's them move. So we move to turn 3. We roll another die, get a 1 here. That's going to be here right next to the thief, which is probably what I didn't want. And we get a 4, which is a giant hornet, which is certainly what I didn't want. Thief might be able to deal with him, actually. Okay. I'm going to move the elf into here first. I want her to have a shot at this hornet to try and clear it, because I want the thief really to use the shrine, of course, to try and get healed up. So elf on the hornet there. She's going to be shooting on a 9+ because she moved, with the tooth arrows bring it down to 8. And the adjacent thief brings it down to 7, but the hornet flies, of course, so that's +1, that's 8. And she gets an 8, and the hornet has no defense, so that's a great shot from the elf. She takes that hornet out. So the thief then does get a couple of chances at this shrine if he needs them. So we're looking for a 3, 4, or 5 here. Ideally, he gets a 2, which is a transfer. So he could now ping across to this shrine here, but there's absolutely no reason to do that because it's right next to a spider. So he's not going to do that. So he's going to interact for his second action again with a shrine, and this time he gets a 1, which is also a transfer. So that's slightly unlucky, but there we are. So he's still injured. The mage moves into the dungeon. She might as well cast, just see what she gets. That isn't really going to do anything helpful. And the warrior is going to move up as well to the entrance there. So that's me done. The enemies then, the ice ogre is going to get a 5, so he goes back down there. The spider gets a 1 as well. Yeah, he does as well. Comes out the top of that dungeon. Okay. That's the end of that turn. Go through to turn 4. This time we're on hex 2. So where are we looking for there? We've got 1 there, 1 there, and 1 somewhere else. Right under my nose. There. Okay, it's going to be this one because it's adjacent to the warrior. So right behind the warrior, out of these trees. Oh no, in fact it's an event. It's rage. So all enemies which aren't already frozen, that's none of them. So both of these. Anywhere on the quest map, activate now. So just get an extra activation if you like. So the ogre goes first. He gets a 2. That's going to put him back onto the exit hex. And the spider gets a 1, but he can't go up there, so he won't. So that wasn't too bad. We kind of got away with that one. So back to us. The thief then again, he's going to use the shrine. He gets a 2. That's no good. And then he gets a 3, which is a heal. So he manages at last to heal up, but he's used a couple of turns doing that, which is slowing us down. I might need to use the teleport spell quite a lot here to get us to the end at this rate. Okay, the elf's going to move up, and the mage is going to move as well. Starting to think about these 2 chests and who I want to open them. I'm going to put the mage here, I think. Might as well cast, see what we get. She gets a 4 actually, so she could put a bubble up or she could move somebody around. She's going to teleport the thief into the trees here, stop any enemies appearing there, and the warrior is going to move into the dungeon. That, I think, will do for now. Yeah. Fall through to the enemies. The ogre goes first. He gets a 6, so moves back again into this village. So he's kind of just wandering around that exit. We're certainly going to have to deal with him. And the spider gets a 4, so actually goes back into the dungeon, which is probably good. So that is the end of that turn. Move on to turn 5. This time we get a 2. Again. So the nearest 2, they're over here, weren't they? So they are 1, 2, 3 away. 1, 2, 3 away from the nearest hero. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, this one is only 2 away. So back down here again. We get a 7. That's an Orc Warrior. Okay, now it's going to come chasing us. So we do have to be aware of that at the back there. If we keep moving, it won't bother us, but it's going to come, you know, pretty fast. So the Mage, just a bit concerned there's an entrance here. If this spider moves down here, it will attack, but I think we'll take that risk. Mage is going to move there and then open this chest. And she gets a 6, which is the Blast spell. So she's learnt a new spell, which allows her to attack. It's 5 spell points required to perform it. It's this one here that's, you might just see on the edge of the camera, you can do that, yeah. So she can attack all enemies at range 1, so kind of everyone around her with line of sight, of course. So it can be reasonably powerful at 7+. So it's a pretty good spell. And the Thief, yeah, that ogre's a pain, but we have to just move towards it and see what happens, I think. Have I got time? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's very tight, isn't it, to get the elf in and out. She's already got one. She's got the tooth arrows. I'd love to get the longbow. That increases her range. It's really useful against the Wizard of Doom in the last quest, potentially. Do I do it or not? I'm going to move the warrior there. Do I move the elf there or there? Let's go for it. So elf moves there. Opens the chest. She gets a 2. And that gives her the tooth arrows, would you believe it? She's already got them, so the chest is empty. Chest is empty. Never mind. So we come through to the enemies then. The Ice Ogre gets a 1, so wants to move upwards, can't do that, so he'll stay there. The Spider next, is it? Yeah, Spider next gets a 1, so he comes out there again. And the Orc Warrior moves towards the nearest one. Can't move into the lake, of course, so the path is that way. 1, 2, 3 to the nearest hero, so he'll follow that path and go there. And we move to turn 6. Okay, we roll a 5. Bang, right next to the Thief. There's one there, but that's further up, so it's going to be that one, and that one's also. So all 3 of them are adjacent to heroes, but that's the furthest up. So on that hex, we will find an Orc Warrior. Ooh, things are getting a little bit tricky here. A little bit tricky. I'm really wishing I hadn't sent my elf up there. Okay, right. What do we do? So the Thief is going to do a special attack on this orc, I think. Or is he? Or should he move up? No, he's going to do a special attack on this orc. So that's a 7+. The bone dagger brings it down to 6+. And he's missed. Oh dear, that's starting to feel very, very bad. The mage is now going to have to take a risk, I think, because we want to keep moving, and she's going to go there and she's risking. I really wish I'd found her spell book. She's got blast, she's got a chain robe, but I really wish I'd found her spell book, because that allows her to roll 2d6 when she's casting and take the highest, which just makes such a difference. So she's casting here, then on a second action, she gets 3. Okay, so she can zap this, or she can use the force on it to push it one away, but that's not overly helpful at the moment, because it will just move back and attack on its turn. So we don't really need to know. If it was in the trees, we could drag it out of the trees, for example, but it's not anyway, so we don't need. So I think she'll just zap it for 9+, but the Thief will help. Oh no, it won't help, it's on her same hex, isn't it? So 9+ then. Oh, she gets 8. That's unfortunate. Oh dear. I really wanted her to get enough to do a bubble shield, so 4 would have put a shield around them both. The warrior's going to come there, the elf's going to come there. They can't really do anything else at the moment to help with this warrior, this orc warrior. So that's me done. The ogre, who we really, really do not need to roll a 4, rolls a 6. That's good, he'll stay where he is for now. And the spider Rolls a 2, would you believe? So does come round there. Oh, just what we really didn't want that to happen. I guess once he's here, it's 50-50 really, whether he's, you know, because he can only move that way or that way. So anyway, and the Orc Warriors, this one will go first because it's nearest to the hero, so that will attack, and it will prefer to attack the mage. On it, it'll a 7+. We're in the trees at least, so it's an 8+ required. It gets the 8, of course. Damn. And the mage's robe saves her. So she's saved by the chain robe, which gave her a 5+ defense. Remember, she found that earlier on in a chest. So she's saved from that hit, which is good. This Orc Warrior will continue to chase, so he goes into there. So he's coming up behind us and feeling pressure to get out quick. I might just have to start getting people out as I can, and you know, the rest might just have to suffer a bit. We're moving to turn 7, and this is a 1. Okay, the warrior's on a 1, so it's not coming there. This one or this one. Well, this hex is next to the elf. So in the dungeon, out of the darkness, comes a spear trap. The worst sort of trap. Unfortunately, it's going to attack all heroes in 3 different random directions. Okay, so what we do here is use the compass again. We need 3 different directions, so we want 3 different rolls. So we've got 1 and 3, and then we just re-roll that, a 5. We've got 1, 3, and 5. So a spear is going to shoot out in that direction, and unfortunately for us, in that direction. So a spear has hit the elf. Okay, they also go range 1 to 2, so it would have hit the warrior as well. So you know, it's firing spears out in those directions, not just one. But this wall fortunately has stopped that, so the warrior's okay. But it has hit this elf. Okay, it doesn't hit the enemies. Right? They know they're there and they know what to do to avoid them. So the elf has been hit, and unfortunately a spear trap. You know, they're quite rare, but also they only fire in 3 directions, so you're going to be unlucky if you get hit. The elf has been hit, and it's a 5+. Normal modifiers apply though, so she's in the tree, so that does make it 6+. Unfortunately for me, I rolled a 4, so it misses her. Sticks in a tree, let's say, right next to her head, and she looks around and thinks, wow, I've been lucky. All right, so that is the phase 1. Then we move through to the heroes phase. So now we've got to start getting rid of some of these enemies, really. I think the thief is going to do another special attack, and that's going to be 7. Bone Dagger makes it 6+, and he gets the 7. And the Orc Warrior's armor fails, so he's gone. That's good, but the thief is stuck then in the trees there. The mage, I'm going to roll her cast. She gets 5, and what I'm going to do there is put a bubble up. Okay, so she's going to put a defensive bubble on this hex, which protects everyone with a +2 when they're attacked. And then the question is she going to move or not? And I don't think she is. So she's protecting everyone there. The elf is going to move into there as well, and so is the warrior. So we're all on this hex, and we all have the protection of the mage's bubble. Good. Feel reasonably safe, but not from the ice ogre. Oh, hang on, Mike. Oh, let's risk it. Okay, so we come through to the ice ogre's turn. In fact, really do not, if I see a 4, could be game over. Okay, it's a 1. So the ice ogre tries to move up, doesn't. And then freezes everyone around it, but it's, you know, nobody's been next to it yet, so it's not had to do that yet. The spider then gets random. He gets a 1. Again, wants to move upwards, can't, so stays there. And this Orc Warrior comes through. He actually, does he? He's got 1, 2, 3, because that's an open door there, remember? So he's got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. He's got 2 potential paths, so therefore he could go there or there. And the preferences don't help, because none of them are buildings, higher ground, or trees, which you would prefer, so he will move randomly. So I'll say odds and evens. That's an even, so he go up there. Okay, next time we'll come through there, obviously. All right. Turn 8. We've rolled a 2. And that is going to be here, probably, is it? Or here. or here. It's going to be this one, 2 away. That's 2 away as well, but that's further up the map. So where the spider is, we find an Orc Warrior. Okay, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Right, the mage is going to cast. I just think we need to get people out. Oh, she's failed. Cast has failed. Oh, dear. Now, we could all move onto this hex here and just do some killing, but chances of getting rid of all of them, or... Can I afford to stay here for another turn is a question. I think I might be able to. I've got 2 more turns before things start going really mad. So, yeah, I think we might just risk it. Okay, not convinced, but I think I'll risk it. But the elf, of course, can shoot, so she's going to shoot at this ice ogre, range 2. She's shooting at 8+, but he is in the village, so it's 9+. But a 9+ would be great. He's got no defense as well. Oh, that's an 8. Second action, she gets another 8, so she's missed, unfortunately. Yeah, maybe I should have pushed. I could have pushed the thief and the warrior up, and they would have given her 2 bonuses, wouldn't they? But I don't know. Tricky one. We'll just stay there, I think, with everybody else. So we've come through to the ogre again. Oh dear, I got that 4 that I really did not want. So the ogre moves down. The ogre moves down, and the trouble is he freezes every hero adjacent to him. So although they're in a protective bubble, it's not going to help them because there's no dice roll involved on this. They are all frozen. And that is going to be tricky. That is going to be very, very tricky. Yeah, I should have moved. The giant spider then gets a 6. It wants to move up that way. Can't, so it won't move, so that won't attack. But now we've got the warrior, the orc warriors there, equidistant away, so I can just move whichever one I want first. So this one's going to go like that into these trees, and then it's going to attack. It prefers to attack the mage, so it will do with a 7+. But because we are in a bubble, that becomes 9+. Don't think we're in trees there. We are in trees actually, yeah. So that becomes 10+. But because we are frozen, that's a -2, so that becomes 8+. So the orc needs an 8+. And he gets a 6, which is fortunate, so that's okay. And the other orc warrior then will move down to here and will attack the mage as well. And that's the same, I think, isn't it? 8+, so 7, 8 for the trees, 9, 10, 9, 8. And he does get an 8+, so he hits the mage, but you can still use her defense. You're still wearing this robe despite being frozen, and that does give her the defense, so she survives it. Wow, bit of luck there. And that pushes us on to turn 9. We are now struggling to get out of here, and we have an ice ogre right next to us. So back to phase 1, we roll a 1, and that is going to be right behind us. That's an event. Oh, would you believe it? That's a spear trap. So if we get a 1, if one of these directions is 1, we're in trouble. We've got 2, 5, and 4. So fortunately, that's all firing elsewhere, not upwards. So we survive the spear trap. Coming through to the heroes phase, we can't do anything because we're all frozen. Okay, we're all frozen. Nothing at all. If you're frozen, you can't do any actions at all. And then it's remove all freeze markers from heroes. So we defrost, de-ice, you prefer. But it's the enemy turn. We so need this ogre to move away again. Okay, he gets a 2. Unfortunately for us, that takes him up that way. Unfortunately onto the exit, but fortunately over there, and he freezes all the adjacent enemies again, but we're not adjacent to him anymore, so we're not frozen. Okay, the important thing is he moves randomly. Even though he was adjacent to us, he still moves randomly, and that can take him away, as indeed it did. So thank goodness for that. The spider gets a 4, wants to come down but can't because of the wall, so he stays there. And now the Orc Warriors both attack, and again they're both going to attack the Mage. But she's pretty well protected now. So 7 becomes 8 with the trees, 9, 10 with the bubble. So 10 for this warrior gets a 2, that's a miss, and this warrior gets a 7, that's a miss. But that just pushes the turn timer onto 10, and we are really quite desperate now. We cannot move onto this hex because there's an ice ogre on it, so we can't get out. We can't get out the map. Let's see what happens anyway. So we roll a 6 for the hex, and that is going to be this one, which is 2 away from the heroes, and that's a 5, which is a biting bush, so that's not going to bother us too much. So let's put that over there. They're a pain if they're in the way, but other than that, they don't bother us. So what on earth are we going to do? We're going to have to move now, because once we get past turn 10, we've got the evil rain will come from the Wizard of Doom. So let's move the warrior down to here, and then he's going to attack the orc. Is he? I think he has to. He'll attack the Orc Warrior. So he would attack with an 8 normally, but 7, 6, 5, because these 3 guys are all distracting this warrior. So he's attacking with a 5+. It's got to be done, hasn't it? That's a 10. Hopefully, yeah, it beats his defense. So he's gone. The question is, how do we get rid of this? We've got to get rid of this ogre. I think the thief's going to have to move down there and attack the ogre. So he attacks on a 9. He's only got 1 action left now because he moves. So he can't do his special attack. So 9 plus 10 because he's in the trees. But 9 because he's got the bone dagger, down to 8 because he's distracted by the warrior. So 8 plus from the thief. And he gets a 12. Unfortunately for us, the ice ogre has no defense. Okay, smashes into 1,000 ice cubes, as it says in the instructions. So he's gone. The mage, I think she just needs to roll, doesn't she? She's got to cast. Oh, she only gets 3. That's a shame. She's going to move there. And the elf's going to move there, and she's going to have to shoot. Have a pop at the spider, because of course he's next to thief now. So she hits on a 9 when she's moved, but 8 because she has the tooth arrows, down to 7 because the thief is distracting the spider. So 7 plus, she's got a 9, and that beats the spider's 6+ defense. So that's worked out pretty well, actually. It's just delayed us long enough to be a bit of a nuisance. So the enemy phase then, not much left here, is there now? The biting bush will go first, but that can't attack anything, so there's nothing around it. And this Orc Warrior, I kind of forgot about him, didn't I? He's going to move into there. Now the trouble is we've left the bubble there. Now the bubble doesn't disappear. It stays where it is. If the mage does the bubble spell again, then it would move to where she is. But in the meantime, it stays where it is. And the Orc Warrior has now got the benefit of that. Now, fortunately, it's behind us, so we don't need to kill him. We just got to get off. But, you know, that is something to think about in these games. And the Wizard of Doom actually can pinch that bubble when he's on the map, so he steals it for himself sometimes. Okay. So that was the Orc Warrior. So we now... Oh, hang on, no, he's moved there. Sorry, now he'll attack. And again, he wants to attack that mage. We keep leaving her open to it, don't we? And he's attacking with 7+. She's got no defense there. Or no, protection, I should say. So hits her. So she's relying on the chain robe again, and this time it doesn't save her. So the mage is indeed injured by the orc. Okay, we come then to turn 11. Now, because we're into turn 8+, I'll put the turn counter over there just so you can see it. Into turn 11+, rather, we now get an attack. What's happened is the Wizard of Doom has been informed of where we are, because we're taking so long to get through this area. His spies have reported back to him, and he now does an evil rain spell, which is an 8+ attack on all the heroes on the map still. No modifiers and no defense can be used. Okay, so it's simply 8+ on everyone. So this could be rather bad news. So the thief is hit. Okay, so it doesn't get to use any defense. The elf, and again, if you're in trees or buildings, that's all ignored. The elf is also hit. Oh, come on. It's not going to be everybody, surely. There's only a 40% chance of each one. Warrior is missed. And the mage, who we really do not want to die, has been killed by that. Has been killed by that evil rain. That's not good news, obviously. So we fall through then to turn 11. We've still got to do this top phase. This is number 1 is going to be in, no, it's, is it? No, it's going to be here, actually, because fortunately this number 1 is adjacent to these. So this is always as the crow flies, not, it doesn't matter, there's a wall there. So this will be a 7, and that's an Orc Warrior. But fortunately for us, he's not going to do much harm. Then it's our turn. There's no way of healing. We can't possibly get to the shrine and back again. We're not with evil rain falling on us every turn now. So every time we start, every time we move the turn counter on, or would do, that evil rain is coming again. So we just have to just get off. We have no mage to cast a spell to try and heal, so it's the warrior's going, the elf is going, and the thief is going, and they've all got off the map. So yes, we've been successful. We have indeed won the quest, but at what cost? Quite a large one, I'd say. So let's see where we're going next. So quest 4 takes us to 4B. So let's have a look at 4B. Ah, there we are, 4B. So we start here and we got to go through the dungeon and out. All right, so there's a bit of, yeah. I've played this one for a while, so let's see how this works out. I'm a bit concerned because obviously I don't have a great deal of, I only have 3 heroes left. So the wizard, or the mage rather, also loses the blast spell and the chain robe. So if we manage to resurrect her, she comes back with full health, but she doesn't come back with any of her items, which need to be refound. Let's see where the chests are on this map. It's going to be 4. So there's one in the trees in the dungeon. There's one right there worth thinking about, and there's one just there outside. So they're certainly reachable. The shrines are here. They're important, aren't they? Because we need to heal. We have no mage to do it, so we need to heal, and we need to try and resurrect the mage as well, because without her, things are going to be very difficult. We've got an S here, and the instructions tell us that that is a skeleton, just to add to our woes. So let's start off then. We roll a 4. Of course we do, yeah, right on these. Oh, in fact, it's going to be that one. So these are both 2 hexes away. That's furthest up the map. So on there, we get a 6. That's a giant spider. So scuttling out of these trees comes a giant spider. So that means we're not going to go that way. So it makes my mind up straight away. So let's start moving this way. We're going to move the warrior down. We're going to move the elf down. We're going to move the thief down. And so there isn't much else to think about because the mage is not here. We just need to get where we can get as quick as we can get there. We want to get here really as soon as possible. Hopefully open this on the way, find something useful. So that's us done. So the first enemy to go is the giant spider, gets a 3, moves down this way, okay. And the skeleton also moves randomly, so he gets a 3, and he also moves down that way, right onto the shrine. Would have attacked, but there is a dungeon wall there blocking line of sight, so that's okay. Move to turn 2. This time it's hex number 2. That's going to be here right outside the entrance to the dungeon. It's a 4, and that is an ice ogre. Oh dear. Oh dear. So that's really preventing us getting on this chest, I think. I suppose the warrior could go and have but he'd only get 1 attack at it. At 8+, it's just not worth the risk. I can't afford to be frozen. These quests tend to get longer, only subtly, but here it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's 8 turns minimum to get out. Subject to any teleport spells you use, but we haven't got a mage, so we can't do that. So that Ice Ogre has appeared. If we go there, the Ice Ogre is very likely to freeze whoever is there unless it moves up there, but that's only a 1 in 6 chance, so I think we just have to forget about that. So I think all we can do really is just move. So I think we just got to move, and even that's a risk. Even that's a risk. If that Ice Ogre comes down, he's going to freeze us all, and that that's disastrous. So we move up there, and the Ice Ogre then goes, please don't get a 4. It's a 2, so he wants to move up that way, but won't go off map, so stays there, then freezes. Anybody here? There's nobody. Won't freeze through the dungeon wall. Next, we've got the giant spider. He gets a 1, wants to move upwards, but won't go through this gate fence. And the skeleton also moves randomly, gets a 5. Oh dear, moves down to these trees. And then does attack the nearest hero within range. They're all in range. They're all in line of sight. So and they're all the nearest. So he will prefer the elf. So he's going to he's going to fire an arrow at the elf, 7+, and we have no protection. So it's a 7+. That's a 7. What defense does the elf have? She's not found anything to help. So she is just on her basic light armor, very light armor, which is 6+, and that is a fail. The elf is killed. The elf is killed. Disastrous, basically. Disastrous. That's the end of the turn. We roll a 5, and that's right next to us in the trees. Oh dear, what else is happening? It's a giant hornet. Oh gosh. So we've been a little unlucky. We've been completely surrounded by pretty awful things. But not only that, they're both in trees, of course, so they've got a great defensive position. It's adding 1 to all the attacks. This hornet is flying, which adds another 1. We're just going to have to try and fight our way out, I think. So the warrior is going to fight first. So he hits on an 8+. Nothing to help him here, really. Although he's got rage. So if he can kill on his first attack, or if he kills one of them, he gets a free attack at the other one. So let's see how he goes. He's going to attack I think he's attack the hornet first, because the skeleton moves randomly, so it may move away. The hornet doesn't. It won't move. It'll stay there and attack. So, mind you, the skeleton's easier to hit. So the skeleton would be 8, would be 9. The hornet would be 10 because it's in tree, because it's flying. 10's silly, isn't it? Let's go 9. Let's go for the skeleton. So the warrior goes for the skeleton at 9+. Oh, he actually gets 12, look. He actually gets 12. So the skeleton, subject to, no, 6 plus defense fails. So the skeleton is killed. Now the warrior now gets a free attack. He's in a rage on the hornet, and that's going to be a 10+, as we said before. And he gets an 11. Wow, slices the hornet in half, and he's still got an action left, of course, because his rage gave him that extra attack. So he could move into the trees, and I'm tempted to do that to get away from the Ice Ogre. I appreciate he's moving next to the spider, but he is in the trees, and hopefully the spider will move away anyway. But let's see what happens. The thief still got his action, so he's going to move up there, and he gets 1 go at this anyway, which is going to be a 9+, an 8+, because he's got the bone dagger, and he gets 8, and the spider doesn't manage to use its defense. So in other words, the thief gets through its thick skin and kills it, and suddenly things aren't looking quite as bad. Not looking quite as bad. So we come through to the enemies, just the Ice Ogre on the map. He gets a 6, wants to move that way, but can't because of the wall. So hopefully he's not going to cause any trouble now. We might decide to go out this way just to have we got time to go around there, or is it quick? I don't know. We'll think about that in a minute. We move to turn 4. We go to 6. The 6s are there and there. That's right next to them, so it's going to be there, isn't it? And that is a 10, and that's an Orc Archer. Okay, could be worse. Could be worse. An Orc Archer, fortunately right next to them, because he's a ranged attacker, remember. So the question is, do we go this way or that way? I think we're best going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's the same distance. We might as well go this way, because we've got a shrine. Mind you, to use that shrine, we've got to go in to come out. So that's 2 extra moves, isn't it? Whereas this one is on the way. Let's go that way and risk that this ogre isn't going to come. It's probably not, is it? No, probably not. So the warrior is going to attack this orc archer with an 8+ to start with. That's a miss. We'll do the same again. And that's a miss as well. That's a shame. The thief is not going to attack. He's going to go to the shrine and roll for a shrine event. Okay, so something high, hopefully. Gets a 3. That's a heal at least. So he heals up. We're only resurrecting here on 6. So the chances of getting our mage back, or our elf, because they are probably the 2 most useful people against the Wizard of Doom, but we haven't got them at the minute. So that's us done. The Ice Ogre then gets a 2, so he wants to move up there but can't, so won't. And the Orc Archer moves randomly, remember, so he gets a 6, which takes him up that way, which is probably the worst thing that could have happened, because now he gets a shot back at the warrior, but he's moved out of range. So he shoots back here at an 8+. We're in the trees, that's 9. And he does get a 9. So the warrior is hit. The warrior is hit. But he does have a basic 5+ defense, but he's got the shield as well. He found the shield earlier, remember? So he's actually got a 4+ defense, and it works. So he has survived that hit. We move to turn 5. We roll a 6. That is here, right next to the thief. And that's a 9, which is a skeleton. So we have a skeleton appearing there. Oh dear. Okay, the warrior's going to move up there to sort of try and surround this guy a bit. So he's going to attack now on an 8+, but he gets the distraction bonus from this thief, so that's 7+ on the skeleton. And that's a miss. The thief, who really wants to use this shrine, is going to have to attack, and he's going to use his special attack, actually, I think. So he's going to use a sneak attack, which is 7+. And the warrior makes that 6, and the bone dagger makes it 5. So it's pretty good chance, isn't it? He does hit, and the skeleton fails in its defense, so that's gone, which is at least something. But that's us. Yeah, it all goes so quick when there's only 2 heroes. The ogre gets a 3. He can't move, so he won't. The orc archer gets a 3. He does move down there, would you believe it? And then he fires an arrow at the warrior. It's an 8+, but he misses again, so that's good. Time moves on to 6. We roll the dice, we get a 4. That's going to be on this chest here, and that's a 4, which is another ice ogre. Wow. I've played plenty of full adventures of the whole 5 quests and not met an ice ogre. This is the 3rd time we've met one. Okay. What do we do? What do we do? I think the thief is going to just try and resurrect. So he's going to use the shrine twice. I'm going to make that decision now. So what I'm actually going to do is roll both dice at once, because whatever he gets on the first one, I'm going to roll the second one anyway. Because if I get 2 6s, then that's 2 resurrects, so I'll bring them both back. So he's going to do that twice. So I'm going to roll. We'll usually roll one at a time, but when I'm rolling 2 dice, I like to roll them both together. It just feels so much more likely of getting a 6. See? Works every time. So that's the thief. He's used both his actions there. That's awful. The warrior, I think it might be time to just have to take some risks. Do we, or we still got plenty? Are we still 1 2 3 4? We've still got time. Let's do this. 8+ on this guy. That's a miss. That's a miss. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. So we drop through the ice ogres then. Doesn't matter which way we choose. This one goes first. He doesn't move. This one gets a 6. That's good. He moves out that way. He moves out there and freezes everything around him. There's nobody around him. That's good. The orc archer gets a 5, and he moves down into these trees. He's being a pain, isn't he? So he gets another shot at the warrior at 8+, and this time it's a hit, and the warrior's defense holds again. So the warrior's still there. Warrior's still there, which is good. We move to turn 7. We get a 1. That is going to be 1, 2, 1, 2. It's going to be here, just outside the dungeon. There is an 8. That is a skeleton as well. Okay. It's time to move, isn't it? Warrior goes there. Thief does one more at the shrine. He gets a 1. Ugh. Terrible. What does he do? So tempted to do one more. What's after this? At the moment, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 potentially moves. That's his last chance, isn't it, to get out without getting rained on. The chances of rolling a 6, pretty slim, isn't it? Oh dear. Go on then, he's got to go, I think. He's got to go. Yeah, I think so. Okay. Through to the Ice Ogres. Let's do this one up here first. He gets a 6 again. He goes way away. That's brilliant news. This guy gets a 3 again. Can't move. He's stuck in there, isn't he? The Orc Archer. No, the Skeleton goes next, actually. He gets a 4. Wants to move straight down, but can't. He has no line of sight to us. That's okay. And the Orc Archer, who's been a real nuisance, is now stuck in those trees. So he's probably trying to open that chest or something. So that's them done. Move on to turn 8. Roll another dice. We're in such trouble here. Right there again where that skeleton is a 5. That's a biting bush. And this one will be a pain because it's blocking. It's right in front of the exit, isn't it? So we're going to have to do something with that. Okay, the warrior is going to move here and then attack the skeleton for 8+. And he hits, and the skeleton's defense fails. We needed a 6 for that, and that's dead. The thief then moves, and then he will attack the bush for a 9+. Got the bone dagger, brings it down to 8+. And that is a 7, so that's a miss, unfortunately. Not sure we're going to get a chance to open this chest, but we'll see how things play out. So that's me done. The moving through then to the bad guys, we have ogres. So this ogre gets a 1, wants to move up, can't. This ogre gets a 3 again. He's rolled 3 every time, isn't he? Stuck there. The biting bush goes next, and unfortunately for me, that attacks every hero at range 1 as a 6+, and that I took a risk, but I think I had to. Moving next to it, I really wanted to get rid of it, but didn't. So attacking the thief at 6+, that's a hit. The thief only has his basic light armor of 6, and it fails, so the thief is injured. And it attacks the warrior at 6+, that's another hit, but the warrior has decent armor, but still doesn't work, so he's now injured as well. Oh dear. And finally the Orc Archer gets a 2, so moves up there, so he's not finished yet either, he's coming back, look. That's them done. We move to turn 9, roll a dice, we get 6. That's here, I think. No, it's here. Yeah, right next to them again. Here appears a skeleton. Oh dear, oh dear. Feels like I'm just so stuck. I can't do anything or get anywhere. It's so frustrating. Right. Warrior, kill this bush. 8+. Go for it. Oh, it's a 6. Ah. So needed to move. Go again, 8+. I guess a 7. Awful. Thief, get rid of this bush. He's going to use his normal attack, so it's a 9, but the bone dagger makes it 8. That's killed it. He should have gone first. And then he can move over to there because he has an action left. Good grief. Okay, the bad guys. Ogres go first. The nearest ogre is this one. He gets a 4, moves down there, doesn't affect us, fortunately. This one gets a 3. What a surprise, got 3. Biting bush, that's gone now, isn't it? The giant spider, we haven't got any of those. Giant hornet, no. Skeleton. Okay, this guy, he moves randomly first, so hopefully he'll move away some way. He moves up there, unfortunately. Then he'll attack the nearest hero. They're both the same distance, they're both in line of sight. So he prefers the elf, the mage, and the thief, so he'll attack the thief. With a 7+, he gets a 10. The thief's armor fails. The thief has been killed. He loses his bone dagger. And everything has gone wrong. Finally, the Orc Archer gets a 5. And he moves back down here. So he decides to go and open that chest again. That puts us through to turn 10. We roll a 6. So right next to us again here, we get an 8, and that's another skeleton. They're appearing in mass now, in force. The warrior then, he's going to have to move. He's going to move there, and he's going to attack this skeleton with an 8+, which he does. And the skeleton's defense fails. It's only a 6+ that saves it. So he's put a bit of space between him and the rest of them. Coming down to these bad guys, this ogre gets a 5. He can't move. This ogre gets a 2. He still can't move though. The skeleton gets a 6, moves away. That's good news. And the orc archer gets a 1, moves up there. Okay. But then the turn moves on to here again. So again, we got delayed. We're a bit slow. So yeah, we couldn't get through quick enough. And the evil rain comes. Remember, it's an 8+, no modifiers, no defense, and that kills my warrior. And that ends my adventure on quest 4B. Had I won, I might have rolled a 6, and that would have taken me to 5B, which would have seen me attacking the Wizard of Doom in this dungeon. Unfortunately for us, he starts with 2 dragons. The route is pretty long and convoluted one to get up there. There are no chests on these final quests. You don't place any chests. Do not place any chests for the quest, it says. There are shrines though, so had I got my warrior through, my forlorn injured warrior, he could have gone to a shrine and maybe healed up, maybe resurrected some of his mates, but it was looking doubtful. And that's, yeah, a fail. Solacia, Wizard of Doom. If you've stuck with it, thanks for watching.